to Charm Chats. Ahoy, and welcome to Charm Chats with Kendra
and Kat. Still trying to put in a little bit of a cold open, eh?
I just figured ahoy would be appropriate considering the subject matter.
I guess so.
And I forgot to think about that last week, so...
There were a few things we forgot about last week.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about some of that today.
Yeah. So we ended the last episode with Phoebe swimming away from Leo and Paige in the underwater cavern. This episode is, of course, 502, A Witch's Tale Part 2, which aired, again, September 22nd, 2002. Mm-hmm. Lots of twos everywhere.
All of the twos, except for the 9, which is September.
Yes. But that is, par for the course, I guess.
Yeah. Which, of course, it means 7, so thanks, Julian calendar.
Well, it's because they added a few months.
I know.
It's a thing, and...
Yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah.
That's why we have July for Julius.
Yep. Yeah.
And June for
Julius.
Juneau, Alaska. I don't know.
So we pan across a pier with a bunch of seagulls sitting on it that transition into some underwater shots of Phoebe swimming, or Phoebe's stunt double swimming, and we can see that her hair is now pulled up into an updo on the back of her head. She spots a pretty pink shell, she picks it up, then she smiles and swims off.
We cut to the living room at the manor. Leo orbs in, completely soaking wet, in his t-shirt and khakis. Piper and Paige are sitting on the couch, still in their outfits from the end of last episode, and then Piper yells at Leo about getting water on the Persian as he wrings out his shirt. She is, of course, talking about a type of a type of rug, known as a Persian carpet.
Or an Iranian carpet, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of history on these types of rugs, and I don't think that anyone wants to hear either of us drone about carpets. So I do suggest, however, checking out the wiki for some beautiful pictures. Because they are just so pretty. Mm-hmm. They're so intricate and just, it's all weaving and it's usually made out of wool and it's just mind-blowing, all of the things.
Yeah, and what really gets me is that, there's an entire industry around cleaning these carpets.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't exactly have Persians at my old house because, it was a prairie style, so, Persian doesn't go with that.
Right.
We had
very ornate.
Yes, we had mostly color block. One of them was kind of a more intricate color block thingy, but it had leaves and shit, and it was all the colors that were it was all natural tones, earth tones, whatever. Mm-hmm. And one day a year, Mom and I would load up the car and we'd go to Koshgarian Rugs and we would dump them there, and then it would be a week and then we would get them back.
Mm-hmm.
And I still get ads from them. I don't know how they followed me to where I live now. I guess they just were we need to know where she is in case she needs rugs cleaned. She's gonna have some big ones.
Yep. Yeah, no, I never had any sort of rug like that because we always lived in apartments with carpet. Mm-hmm. And, it's weird to put a rug over carpet.
Yeah, unless it's an office situation and you want a color definition and then you put the plastic over it to protect it from your chair, your rolly chair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That is a thing.
Because you always want to be rolling on something smooth, not rough. But if you're already in a place that has carpet, you don't want a clear plastic thing over that carpet because then it'll be real obvious where everything is dirty. So you get a different colored rug and you put the clear plastic over that, and then it won't be obvious.
Yeah. We just put the clear plastic over the carpet.
Yeah, I know.
Which isn't always the best thing, because then when that clear plastic breaks after using it for, years.
Decades.
Yeah.
Centuries.
Yeah.
We're immortals. I forgot to mention that.
Shh, don't tell our secrets.
We're clearly very young immortals. We haven't learned that yet.
Yeah. But I'm older than you.
10 years in infinity is not even a drop in the bucket.
It's true. It's very, very true. Anyway, I should probably stop random being stuff.
Speaking of immortals, back to Phoebe.
Oh, jeez. Leo steps off the rug, tells him that he found Phoebe. Piper asks why he didn't bring her with him, and he says the line that made me laugh so hard. He says that she's too fast and slippery.
And then I
started
think
giggling.
Paige says something. Paige says something about Phoebe being on the run, but I heard that as that'd be the fish oil.
Wow. Yeah, no. She does not say anything
I
about
could have
fish oil.
sworn she said something about that was the fish oil.
No,
which is just a hilarious thought.
She does not. She says
Yeah.
that Phoebe's on the run. Leo says that she's technically on the swim,
Yeah.
which makes Paige roll her eyes,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I thought was very funny as well.
Piper asks what Phoebe could be swimming from, since she should be loving life after getting billboards, TV interviews, and her divorce. And Paige realizes that Piper doesn't yet know what's been going on with Phoebe. She says that Paige says that she didn't want to make Piper mad, did her getting panicky, and Piper kind of does like a yada yada yada, spineless coward in the face of evil thing.
Yep.
And she's like, what don't I know? So Paige tells her that Cole's back, and Piper
Immediately.
starts to panic.
Yeah.
But of course, Paige and Leo aren't exactly paying attention to her at this point.
Yeah. Leo gets upset that he wasn't told because he should know these sort of things as their white lighter. But Paige is like, I wanted to keep my sister's confidentiality. And as Leo continues being annoyed at Paige, Piper is having a lovely little panic attack by the fireplace. She tries to get their attention, it isn't working, and then she falls to the floor. She doesn't pass out or anything, she just falls down.
She just falls over.
Yeah.
You know, like
As you
Blue
do.
fell off the bed this morning.
Yes. Leo and Paige run over to her. Leo tells her to take a deep breath, and they help her out up and onto the couch. And Piper immediately asks if Cole is after her baby. Paige is like, no. And that immediately, makes Piper less panicked, which is very nice.
I don't think Cole even knows about the baby at this point, does he?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, he has no idea. Anyway, Paige says that Cole is in love and wants Phoebe back. Leo thinks that Cole and Phoebe declaring their love could be a solution to the mermaid problem, but Paige tells him that Cole's love is the problem.
Piper points out that Paige hates Cole. Paige replies that she does in fact loathe and despise him, but reminds Piper that Miley said mermaids are cold-hearted and thinks that might be the reason Phoebe was the one who got turned into one.
Piper wonders when Phoebe became cold-hearted, and Paige says it might have been ever since Cole came back.
Leo asks where they go next. Paige says that they need to check anywhere they can to get rid of Phoebe's tail, mentioning the Book of Shadows, the Library of Congress, and the Internet. Now, the Library of Congress is a research library that officially serves the United States Congress and is the de facto National Library of the United States at large. It was originally proposed in 1783 by James Madison and finally established in 1800, and is the oldest federal cultural institution in the United States.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
In August of 1814, during the War of 1812, which I forgot lasted more than 1812, the invading British Army burned the Library of Congress, all of its 3,000 books.
Yep.
Volumes, really. And then afterward, Thomas Jefferson's like, yeah, totally, I'll sell you my personal library. It's like 6,500 books.
Yeah.
And so in January of the next year, Congress was like, yeah, bitch, we'll do that. We'll buy it for like $23.95.
Which is
$1,000, by the way.
Yeah, $23,950 in 1815 would be the equivalent in 2019 of $400,000.
So this is why you were on the inflation calculator.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes. His collection was more of a actual scholars collection instead of just being display pieces, which was what they had previously. So it meant that the Library of Congress went into being a more generalized library as opposed to the specialist one that it had been previously.
And then, of course, unfortunately, in 1851, another fire destroyed over 35,000 books, which included about 2/3 of Jefferson's collection that he
Right,
sold.
it was basically 2/3 of the collection that they had, including 2/3 of Jefferson's.
Yeah.
So it was
So Congress came up with the requisite amount to replace them, which ended up being like $169,000.
yes. So in 1851 money, $168,700 to be exact, is just over $5.6 million in 2019.
Which, won't buy most of a plane these days.
No, but I think it's very interesting the difference you can tell just in that short span of time, that 40 years, how 2,400 was less than $500,000, and now 168,000 is 5.6 million.
Yep.
Just like, well, shit. Okay. money gets
Yep.
inflated. So as of 2008, the Librarians of Congress have found replacements for all but 300 of Thomas Jefferson's original collection back into the Library of Congress, which is awesome.
They probably have records for what those were, though, I'm sure.
Yeah, they have records
They are
of it all, but
nothing if
they
not
just haven't found it
famous for their system of filing.
Yeah, and I cut a lot of tangent from my writing because I could have gone on to the whole 2010, the Library of Congress wanting to make everybody's tweets in the Library of Congress, but I'm not going to tangent on that. So you should just read about that shit for yourself because it is fascinating. But I don't want to get on a Twitter rant because then I'll be on a Twitter rant.
No, that just reminds me of the fact that the president is not allowed to destroy any of his documents.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Yeah, because it involves staff having to tape them together.
Let's
anyway,
not go there.
Back to the show. Back in the Sea Hag's cavern, Necron zaps in, and he's looking even grayer than before. Someone really desaturated him.
Mm-hmm.
He walks around calling out for the hag, tossing miscellaneous crates and seafaring equipment off of other crates for no goddamn reason, threatening her life, and then sees the pile of like shawl and necklace that's on the ground where the sea hag was vanquished.
Yeah, it's like a dust pile filled with her clothes.
Yeah, I just recognized the necklace.
Yeah.
And so he kind of like waves his hand and it glows and all of the dust and the necklace and the shawl blows away. And there's the auger shell just sitting on the ground like you do.
Uh-huh. He picks it up just as Phoebe swims into the cavern and she places the little pink shell onto a pile of shells that she's been collecting. Necron, of course, notices her and walks over. She asks who he is. He says that she has something he wants.
So she yells, "They're all yours," and throws the pile of shells at him and then swims off.
He throws some electricity at her. It hits her in the butt and it hits her in the tail. Like, this is where it hits her. In the butt and in the tail.
And as she swims away, you see her holding her hip.
Yeah. And she's bleeding.
Yeah.
This is where the opening credits would be, but they're not, because...
See, that's funny, because on Netflix, they did, like, a very brief...
There's, like, a little pause.
Yeah.
But this is where the credits would be had it been 2 episodes, technically. But because it's all one thing, it is not. Yeah. So, we transition over to the manor the next morning. We get an exterior shot with Piper's car in the driveway and Paige's car in the street. And in the kitchen, Paige is pacing around the table, talking on the phone with Mr. Cowan. She is wearing black pants.
It's Cohen.
Cohen?
Yeah.
Do I always fuck that up?
I don't think you always fuck it up. But, like, it's Cohen, and I always want to say it Cowan because of how it's spelled.
It's spelled
because
Cohen.
Cohen is supposed to be Cohen.
Right.
Because you're co-parenting some hens.
Sure. She's on the phone with her boss. She is wearing black pants and a slightly cropped, low-cut white shirt that has some colored strips of fabric that go from the left shoulder to the center bust that then turn into lines of the same colors looking like they're spilling down the front of the shirt. There's also this weird applique on the middle left that I think is supposed to be a bouquet of roses, but it looks like a weird clown head with a long nose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you zoomed too far in on that one.
I didn't zoom at all. That's as close as we got to it.
No, you cropped though. Like
I cropped it. So
but like then it just naturally got zoomed by virtue of that.
Maybe I shared that little moment with the Discord, which is what she's talking about.
No, that's why. Like I didn't realize that was what you were cropping until you started describing her shirt. I'm like, oh, okay. Because no, when I saw it on her shirt, it definitely looked like roses.
Yeah. Anyway, there's also on the other side, on the right boob of her shirt, there is a 5-pointed star in a circle. Her hair is pulled up into a messy updo with 2 very thick-looking hair sticks holding it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not chopsticks. These are definitely, like, hair sticks. These are, like, whoom.
Yep.
Very, very large.
Anyway, she's apologizing to Mr. Cohen for missing work, making the very spur of the moment or excuse for her sister having a fishing accident. We get a weird push into the book on the table.
Just a random book.
Just a random book?
It's
okay,
not-
it looks
it's
kind
not
of
the
Book of Shadows-y.
It is not the Book of Shadows.
It looked old.
It looked old, but it is not
But
the
yeah,
Book of Shadows.
it's a book on the table that shows a drawing of a mermaid with loose flowing locks sitting on a rock. Paige says she's grateful for the promotion and she's going to prove it to him just as soon as... And then he hangs up on her. Leo orbs in behind the closed kitchen door and then walks in.
He is in jeans and a tan polo shirt. He says that he lost Phoebe somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico.
Which is a giant crater.
Now, the Gulf of Mexico is bordered by Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Mexico, and Cuba. So it's a bit far away from San Francisco, California.
Yeah, but remember, last episode, when Craig got there, and he's like, where the hell am I? Phoebe's like, somewhere in the North Atlantic would be my gut instinct.
Yeah.
So, she swim fast.
Yeah.
She swim super
Real
fast. Which means the cave that Necron is in the North Atlantic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
Which makes me wonder...
That's closer to the Gulf of Mexico than San Francisco.
It just makes me wonder so many things.
I wonder, could she have shortcut through Panama?
Maybe.
Like, could she just have snuck up to one of the sides of those ships and gone through the lock?
Possibly.
Or would that actually be slower, because of how long it takes to fill, than just going around South America?
I'm assuming it would probably be slower.
I think it would be, because Paige made the joke about her swimming back home being faster than them orbing.
Yeah.
Which, man, sharks aren't even that fucking fast.
Yeah.
We know how fast sharks are. We have satellite tags on them. You can follow them.
Yes.
I think you can follow them on Twitter, too. I think there's a
Probably.
Twitter for that.
Probably. There's a Twitter for just about everything.
True.
Yeah.
At Horse Ebooks.
Yeah. Chuck Tingle.
I love
Anyway.
Chuck Tingle so much.
So do I. Anyway, Leo is worried that Phoebe is becoming more mermaid than witch, as it's getting harder for him to track her. Paige says that she needs to find a way to turn Phoebe back, and she sits back down at the table and grabs a different book. Leo asks if she's been working all night and asks what she learned.
Paige gets some pithy exposition time, explains that mermaids are cold-blooded, like shiny baubles, and sea shanties are the only songs they know, and also her adoption file is short one document, which loses Leo a bit. And she tells him she's already screwing up on her first day as a social worker. And of course he, does the pep talk. He says, you can't let that happen. She's like, yeah, I could probably cast a spell or something to create the file. And Leo's like, no, go to work.
She starts to ask a question, but he reminds her that she's just an orb away. She then asks if he can handle it alone, and he's like, I'm not alone, I have Piper. And then Paige has to burst his bubble just a little bit. She says that she's not sure if Piper is just afraid of the demons, or if it's guilt over Phoebe, but Piper isn't doing so well.
She says that she had to come into the kitchen to get any work done at all, and when he questions this, she tells him to go to the attic and see for himself. So Leo leaves the kitchen, and we get one more insert shot of that mermaid drawing in the book. We cut to the attic. Leo walks in, looking around for Piper, and we see her sitting on the floor in the corner of the room under a window, scribbling words on the wall with chalk.
She is wearing jeans and a short-sleeved light blue t-shirt that has a low-cut V-shaped penis collar.
Yep.
Still one of my favorite descriptors we've ever come up with.
Yep.
She's got her hair down and she's wearing the diamond cross necklace. He walks over to her as she's mumbling something about scales. He touches her arm, tells her it's okay. She pushes him away, saying that she's almost done. But he's like, no, you need to take a break.
And she's like, no, just one more verse. He tells her, this isn't helping Phoebe. She's like, I'm scared. He's like, yeah, I know. She's like, no, you don't get it. I'm scared all the time. He tries to brush it off as her pregnancy, saying hormones, adrenaline, they're all running really high. It's okay to be afraid. And Piper's like, no, I'm supposed to be stronger than ever because it's my job to take care of the family.
He tells her that sometimes the family's job is to take care of her, and I immediately went to a mob place.
Yep.
Because the family gonna take care of you.
Yep.
But then he says that it's also his job, being her husband and all.
Yeah.
She asks what she's supposed to do, and he says that she needs to figure out what's behind her fear.
She jokes that therapy takes years. Phoebe needs her now. And he tells her that the only way she can help Phoebe is by removing her fear. And we see the light bulb go off.
Yeah.
It's a very ominous light bulb. It's like a black light bulb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
It's like, okay, we're about to see what's in this hotel room.
It is a little black light. Like, we're just gonna shine, and do you really want to see what's happening?
It's like, this is straight up UV, guys.
Yeah. She asked what he said. He says that he can help her remove her fear. She says that he did just help her, and then she stands up, telling him that she needs some time alone to figure it out, and he leaves her in the attic for some reason.
So she walks over to, it's not actually a wall, it's like part of the ceiling.
Part of the roof, yeah.
It's like, it's an angled spot that's like under a cornice or whatever.
Yeah.
A
blank bit of wood.
Yep. She walks over to that blank area and writes fearless with a piece of chalk.
We cut to a dock.
From chalk to a dock.
Phoebe is sitting on the edge of the dock, breathing very heavily. And now, not only is her hair pulled up, but she has a necklace on her head. A little string of white, which at this point, we're so far away.
There's a word for that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's like a headband, tiara,
no
necklace combo thing. I don't know what the word is.
It's not tiara, it's not diadem, it's not necklace, it's not circlet. There's like a word for having like a like jewelry piece that's draped across your forehead that I forget. But like it's multiple jewelry like parts. It's not just like the one thing, because if the one thing it would be a circlet.
Yeah. I don't know.
Or if it were just like a solid piece with stuff in it, it would be a diadem. But it's a string of pearls, so I don't know what to fucking call it.
It isn't a string of pearls. That's the crazy part. From here, we can't really see because it just looks like a string of white. But when we get to see it later, it's teeny tiny little beads.
Yes, pearls.
They're so tiny, though.
They're seed pearls.
Okay, maybe. I'll give you that.
I think they're meant to be pearls, is what I'm saying.
Yes, they're meant to be pearls.
Because she's got the rest of her hair up in a snood thingy.
That's made of, like, seaweed and...
Yeah, and
that
twine,
has pearls
and that has pearls in it.
Yeah, but we can't see that at this point. Yeah, we can't see that at this point, but...
Yeah, and she's, Anyway, enough about her hairdo.
Yeah, anyway.
Which was all the rage in, like, Elizabethan England or whatever.
Yeah, but it's a thing she didn't have on a moment ago. Mm-hmm. So it's the question of why does she all of a sudden have it now? Just, you know.
She's becoming more mermaid, and apparently you get stuff with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, she touches the bleeding gash on her hip.
Yeah.
And then we hear some...
It's now on her hip.
Yeah, we hear some voices, and a couple of fishermen are walking toward her, so she dives back into the water, and they make it to the edge just in time to see her tail drop beneath the water.
And then we transition to South Bay Social Services via the fish tank.
Not the last time we're going to do this transition either.
Nope. I don't think it's the first time we've done it.
I don't think it is,
but I enjoy this transition.
It's very appropriate for this episode.
Yeah.
Set of episodes.
Paige is walking across the room with her boss, following behind her. She has changed her outfit. So we only got that weird shirt thing for one scene.
Yeah. Which is funny because she changed into this outfit, presumably because it's more work appropriate. More so than her crop lavender top and short skirt.
Yeah, I don't...
Like, honey, midriff is not appropriate for work unless you're a stripper.
And even then,
you're going to show more than midriff.
Yeah. Anyway,
which is why showing up with a midriff would be fine.
Yeah. Anyway, so she has changed into tight tan pants that has a small bit of black fringe attached partially down the leg. We can only see the one side, but when we see her later, she also has the same fringe on the other side, but it's at a different spot on the leg.
Interesting.
Yeah, like this one on her right leg, it's like partially down her thigh.
See,
and on the other one, it's closer to the hip. It's very weird.
I told you before Paige came onto the show, I'm like, yeah, they're going to take all of the weird clothing choices that they used to give to Phoebe, and it's going to be Paige's now.
Yep. Phoebe still has some weird choices.
Yeah, but
Paige
Phoebe has
much
moved,
more experimental.
Phoebe has moved more into like the Prue arena, where like it's not going to be completely off of the wall, but it's not going to be at all work appropriate for anything she chooses.
This is true. So yeah, she has paired that with an orange top that looks like basically a tube top that has like a peekaboo cut out of the back. And
a halter strap.
Right.
A black halter strap, mind you.
Yeah. We can tell that she's not wearing a bra because there's the peekaboo in the back. And it looks like it's tied in the back. But that's definitely not like anywhere near enough support to actually be able to hold that top onto her.
Nope.
Hence the black strap that they've added to the shirt.
Yep.
I just thought that, I'm like, why didn't they just make it spaghetti straps? So at least it would look intentional, as opposed to a halter strap, which makes it look like it was added.
Maybe that was meant to call to the fringe on her pants, which is also black.
I mean, that could be. That could very well be.
Fashion.
Her hair is down and straight.
A car wreck, but make it fashion.
There you go. Her hair is down and straight. And we can tell now that it's straight, that it's very much at a bob level. It's about at her shoulders. With a fudgy orange barrette holding back the left part. Mm-hmm. It is like the fuzzy... It's like somebody took a troll's hair, put it on a barrette, and stuck it in her hair.
Yep. Very early aughts.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with her bright green VW Bug.
Yeah.
Mr. Cohen is asking how her sister is doing after the fishing accident, and Paige is like, oh, we haven't found her yet. So he asks, somewhat concerned, if she's lost at sea, and Paige goes, you could say that. As he starts to say something else, she stops and turns to him, saying she knows she can be stubborn, late for work, doesn't always know when to shut up, like right now, but that he wouldn't believe her even if she told the truth, and she needs to go save an adoption. So he says, you forgot to say insolent.
You're very insolent. She, of course, is like, you're right. Can I go now?
Yep.
He tells her not to make him regret giving her the promotion. She nods, he leaves, and she turns to see Cole heading towards her.
He asks her to wait before she says anything. She threatens to orb his family jewels away. He's like, okay, that would hurt, but you won't use your powers in front of a bunch of people. Never mind, she's already done that in front of this same group of people.
Right.
Well, not this same group of people, but in this office.
Yeah. She asks what he wants. He says that he wants to prove to all of them that he's changed, and then her boss walks back over holding a file, telling her to fax these to the agency, help sway the decision. And then Cole chimes in that he's familiar with family law and asks if he can do some good.
Cohen's like, didn't we fire you? Cole says he quit, but mentions he's now a partner at Jackman, Carter, and Klein.
Which makes Cohen seem very impressed.
So that's Hugh, that's
Peggy.
June. Oh yeah, Peggy.
Yeah.
Hugh, Peggy, and Patsy.
Yes. There you go.
Although I think hers is with a C.
Yeah, it's like spelled wrong, but yeah.
I mean, we don't really know how it's spelled in the show.
It's true. It's very true. Anyway, so Cohen seems impressed, asked why Cole's there. Cole says that he came to help Paige and puts his hand on Paige's shoulder.
And she does the universally familiar to most women pull away and grimace. Says she doesn't want or need his help. And Mr. Cohen says that a good social worker knows how to use and when to use outside resources. And it doesn't get much better than Jackman, Carter, and Klein. And then he walks away.
Yeah. Cole seems self-satisfied, telling her to let him help, saying it'll be no trouble. She replies that he's been nothing but trouble, that Phoebe was finally happy, and then starts to say she's but
and
then
gets
interrupted by a woman offering her normal lunch order of yellowtail sushi.
Yep.
She's yellowtail? I laughed so hard.
Yeah.
Oh, this actress is Amanda Sickler. She has no picture on IMDb, but the Wikia has her picture, so I know it's her. She only has 11 acting credits between 1983 and 2018, and we will see her again later this season. And though she's never named in this episode, IMDb credits her as Sophie. Cool. So if you've seen the show, you have a clue.
Yeah. Paige pulls a face at the thought of eating fish and rushes past her. Cole follows, asking what Phoebe is. So Paige turns around, grabs the front of his suit, and yanks him into the photocopy room. It's funny.
Yes.
She tells him Phoebe is a mermaid, gills, fins, scales, and all. And he's like, oh yeah, but you can fix that, right? She's like, no.
No.
It happened because you broke her fucking heart.
Cole says that he never meant to hurt her. Paige says that he didn't mean to do a lot of things that have happened, and that he leaves bodies, blood, and pain in his wake.
She's really loving the 3 lists.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Mm-hmm. He tries to say that's all in the past, he came back to make up for it, but she cuts him off and tells him to go to Tibet, join a monastery, pray for absolution. Look, it's another list of 3.
Yep.
But not to put his guilt on them.
Now, I'm not going to tangent on those things. I will, of course, link them on the website for your reading pleasure, because nobody really cares to hear me blather on about Tibet or a monastery. They just,
Free Tibet.
Free Tibet. He then tries to say that he loves Phoebe, but she cuts him off again, saying that guys like him always try to make it about them and their feelings.
Cole says that Phoebe still loves him, but Paige is like, you're wrong. Phoebe thinks you're an evil freak with superpowers from hell and battery acid for blood, and that she wishes he'd stayed dead.
He immediately asks if Phoebe told her that, and she's like, she didn't have to tell me that. She's a mermaid. Which, again, made me laugh so hard. She says that Phoebe had to turn into a fish to get away from him, and the only way for him to help them get their sister back is for him to disappear forever, and she walks off, leaving him to sulk.
Up in the attic, Piper has written a spell on that same area with chalk. She reads it out loud. Locked in, boxed in, full of fear. My panic grows manic till I can't hear. In need of reprieve so that I can breathe. Remove my fear. Please make it leave. And then her body glows, and she walks over to a mirror to, look at her reflection. She doesn't look any different.
She really doesn't.
And we cut over to a fishing boat.
3 fishermen pull a large net full of fish out of the water.
This is not a large net.
It's a large net. It's not a butterfly net. It's a fairly large net.
Yeah, but, in terms of fishing nets, this is pretty small.
Yeah. It's people-sized.
It's just big enough for the mermaid that they dump out of it.
Yes.
And some other fish.
Yes. Now, only 2 of these fishermen actually get lines and credits on IMDb, so let me tell you about them real fast. The older and more recognizable of the 2 is played by Tom McClester. He's got 76 acting credits between 1982 and 2016, and I vaguely remember him from his role of Ike on Married with Children back in the 90s. The younger one is Patrick Gallo, and he actually has a birth date on IMDb. He was born in 1973 in Buffalo, New York. He only has 33 acting credits so far, starting back in 1996. So, the fishermen open this net onto a large wooden box.
Into.
Was it into? Because
It was
like
into.
it was onto.
Also, you wrote into.
I did, but it looked like it was onto, because she kind of lands
but
flat on a box.
She lands flat on top of the pile of fish that go into the box. It was definitely a box.
Okay.
Remember, I watched this an hour and a half ago.
Yes. Okay.
So,
okay.
Trust my memory.
I do trust your memory 99% of the time. Every once in a while, you do get it wrong.
Usually it's about colors. This is not a color question.
This is true. Phoebe falls out of the net, and we can now see that the white necklace on her head is the very tiny little beads. And it's attached to, like we said, what I'm assuming is supposed to be seaweed and pearls covering her hair. It is a lovely little updo thing, and I actually love this on her. I think this is one of my favorite hairstyles so far.
You can see the bobby pin anchoring the sides of the little strand.
Yeah, and you can
to
also
the side
see
of her head before it reaches the snood.
And you can also see there's a bit of black fabric over top holding it all together.
Yep, a little bit. They tried to cover it with her hair, but
They
that
did.
doesn't always work.
No, not so much.
The fishermen look at her confused, and then we see her POV as they wake her with smelling salts for some reason. So she wakes up and hits one of the fishermen with her tail. He then, grabs at it, and she tells them to get their filthy meat hooks off of her. They, of course, laugh and about the mouth on her. And then the older one's like, I only care about the tail.
Yeah.
Bad innuendo, bub.
Yes.
Hi, motorcycle. Bye, motorcycle.
Yeah. The younger one asks about getting paid by a tabloid to see said mermaid here. But the older one's like, no, you should think bigger. So when questioned about that, he says that bringing her to a tabloid would get them a small fee, but bringing her in dead means they could sell her body for a fortune.
And like he's been summoned, Necron appears behind them, on a boat just across the dock or something.
Yeah.
And he says that her life belongs to him. And the fisherman, who has 0 lines or credits, grabs like a spear gun and shoots at Necron. And there's a great bit of practical work where they shoot to a shot where clearly the bolt has gone into like this like metal sheet of the boat just on the other side of the actor's neck.
Yeah.
And then they cut to a different angle and you watch him like pull off of it.
Yeah.
And there's like a little bit where it just heals over immediately.
Yes, his neck magically heals as the thing is being pulled out of his neck. You can see the magic trying to heal the skin. And it's actually a really cool effect.
It was.
They did a really good job on that
Nice and tiny, which means that the uncanny valley is minimized.
Yes.
Anyway, he throws electricity at 2 of the fishermen. They turn into dust, and then at the other one. And then he zipline glides.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Down to Phoebe, like, because he's up on this fucking boat. And he just kind of, like, starts gliding, and you don't see his bottom, and then it comes in, and it kind of looks like he just fucking ziplined. Yeah. It's hilarious. Over to Phoebe, saying he almost feels pity for the poor defenseless creatures that mermaids are. She replies, "Pity this," smacks him with her tail, yanks on a rope, which releases a
very heavy hook. Yeah.
A hook on a pulley that smacks him into some boxes, and then she yells for Leo.
Yeah, he like falls into a bunch of barrels that are nearby. She cries out for Leo that she's ready to go home. He orbs in, happy that she's come to her senses. She reaches for him in a hurry the fuck up kind of motion, just as Necron gets up. Leo orbs out with Phoebe just before Necron gets a shot off at them. And Necron is not happy about losing his mermaid. So he holds out his hand, and 2 crows appear on a beam.
Now, these are the same crow, and they are both CG'd in.
Yeah.
It's the same footage, because he tells them to go find the mermaid, and they do the exact same turn 1 second apart and then fly off.
And their shadows leave before they do.
Yeah.
It was so weird. After the really, really good CG of the neck thing, we then have this fuck up.
They couldn't find trained crows.
But like, what? Anyway, we go to commercial break. We come back to the living room at the manor.
Phoebe and Leo are there on the couch. Phoebe is covering her chest with a lovely, like, velour shawl. Mm-hmm. Woven velour shawl. And Leo is dabbing Phoebe's wound with a cloth.
Because, as we have learned, he apparently can't heal mermaids.
Mm-hmm. She cries out in pain. He's like, "I was a medic, not a vet."
Which
technically he is also a vet.
I mean...
But it's a veteran.
Yes, a veteran, not a veterinarian.
I mean, it's a short... Veteran is just a shortened version of veterinarian, right?
Paige walks in holding a jug of water and a cup, handing the cup to Phoebe.
And you see her, like, start to down it, and then they cut to a closer shot, and, like, most of the cup is gone.
Yeah.
And there's a lovely, like, ADR in of just glugging.
Yeah.
And she's like, "This is great. It could use more salt."
And Paige kind of wrinkles her nose at that, which I thought was funny. Leo then finishes the wound as best he can, and Phoebe asks to be orbited back to the ocean. Paige's like, "Isn't there still a demon after you?" Just as Piper comes down the stairs, and she is now dressed in a high-neck, sleeveless black shirt with black leather pants. And her hair is still down, and she's still got the diamond cross necklace on that is outside the shirt. Mm-hmm. On display.
Yeah, Piper asks about this demon. Leo's like, "Oh, it's the one that chased Phoebe back home." Piper says, "Oh, that was very nice of him. Welcome home."
Phoebe says this isn't her home anymore, and Piper asks where the demon is so that she can thank it and then kill it. Paige asks if she's okay. Piper's like, "Never better," and that she's ready to face her fears.
She says, noticing a painting on the wall. That painting, which is fucking ugly, but I was afraid to tell Leo about it, and she blows it up.
Now, this painting is an angel reaching out for the moon, and it's in a very gaudy golden frame. And as she blows it up, the frame is the only thing left intact.
Yeah, they basically, in the special effects department, they installed some kind of blasting cap in the wall behind the painting.
Yeah.
And then set that off, and it blasts through the painting and makes a hole in the wall. But otherwise, the frame was untouched.
Yeah.
Although I think it did kind of, like, get askew or fall down or something.
It did not fall.
I think it like tilted.
It
a
might
little.
have tilted, but it definitely didn't fall. That much I'm positive of.
I know it moved.
Yeah.
It definitely moved, but it didn't destroy.
Yeah. She, of course, then says a no offense to Leo and sits on the couch and asks what the demon looks like. Phoebe says he's tall, dark, and skeletal and that he shoots electricity. Piper then asks Paige to orb the Book of Shadows to them. Paige questions her use of magic for household chores due to her fear of personal gain.
Piper says that fear is very debilitating and asks her to do it anyway. So Paige orbs the book in her hands it to Piper. And then Phoebe says she's told them everything she knows. She wants to go home.
Paige says she is home and that she's insane if she thinks that Paige is going to take her anywhere. Piper tells Paige to relax, everything will be fine, and Leo questions why she's so calm.
He sits behind her. He's clearly got a bead on something that's going on. And
But he doesn't actually say it.
No, of course not. And neither does Piper. She just tells him that she did as he suggested. She now feels fine and wants to save Phoebe.
Phoebe says that she doesn't need saving. She just wants to lay on a rock, combing out her hair with her shiny objects and her sea friends.
Yep. She then says she needs water and reaches instead for the jug rather than the cup. And Piper finds Necron in the Book of Shadows at this moment.
Phoebe drinks straight from the jug, confirming that he's the right guy with a mouthful of water.
Leo starts to read about Necron, that he's a skeletal being that hovers between life and death and has the power to incinerate the living. But Piper cuts him off with a yada yada yada. Mm-hmm. And Paige realizes that he wants Phoebe's mermaid immortality. Phoebe's like, he can't have it. And then asks to be put back into the ocean before she suffocates. She needs the water. Paige, annoyed, says she'll get her some water.
Time jump to Paige putting Phoebe into a bathtub filled with water. Phoebe says she's being held hostage and that she's not a common goldfish, which I thought was very funny.
Yeah.
She says that she can't ignore the call of the sea, but Paige tells her that the call of the common bathtub is gonna have to do, and Phoebe flicks some water at her, and the look on Paige's face was the most, annoyed look of disgust. It was great.
Yeah. Over at Cole's apartment, Cole is on the phone, using the speakerphone. This is old-timey speakerphone, baby.
Yeah.
And he's pacing up and down the room. Daryl walks in as he's pacing away from the door so he doesn't see him. And the voice on the phone says, oh, they need the original medical report for a legal adoption. And Cole's like, oh, that doesn't work. So he waves his hand over the phone. We see a small glow come out from the speaker under the handset. And then Cole asks if they're sure that the faxed copy won't be enough. And the voice replies, oh, we'll absolutely finalize the adoption immediately. So Cole thanks him and then presses the button to hang it up.
Daryl asks what that was. Cole says that he's helping Paige cut through some red tape. And Daryl asks if Paige is okay with Cole using, quote, voodoo powers to cheat the system, unquote. Cole says that Paige doesn't know that he's helping and that they're not voodoo powers. Daryl asks what kind of powers he has, asking about the power to turn men into dust.
Cole questions him, and Daryl says that 3 fishermen were turned into bone dust. Cole asks if Daryl thinks he killed them. Daryl replies in the affirmative, and Cole reminds Daryl that he just saved his surprisingly small brain from a bullet the day before.
Daryl says that Cole can't expect him to believe that that was actually done for him, that he's just a pawn in Cole's twisted scam to win Phoebe back.
Cole yells that he's not the source of evil anymore. He's not the source of any evil. And sits down and quietly says that he just wants his wife back. This seems to get a little bit of Daryl's sympathy. So he sits down, asking Cole to pretend for the sake of argument that Cole saved him because they're friends, and asks to give him some friendly advice.
He tells Cole to stop doing this to himself. Cole says he can't help it. Daryl says he understands that Cole loves Phoebe and that their love is epic, but asks Cole to look at what it's doing to him.
Cole stands up and walks toward a picture of himself and Phoebe on the fireplace mantle. This looks like some kind of engagement photo shoot or whatever. Because she's very clearly got at least late last season hair.
Yes.
Possibly even this season hair. They might have just done this before the premiere. I can't tell. It's not a photo I recognize.
It is definitely a photo we have not seen before.
Correct.
He tells Daryl that Paige told him that Phoebe hates him and he should leave for good. He asks Daryl what he thinks because he's known Phoebe for a long time, and Daryl stands up and walks over to him. He tells Cole that he knows he doesn't want to, but it doesn't really matter what he wants.
Cole agrees with this And Daryl thinks that gives him the answer he needs to hear, and he leaves. So Cole looks at the picture frame one more time, and then glances down to his shoes.
Yes. Over at the attic in the manor, Piper drops an ingredient into the pot in front of her. There's a clink sound.
And then everything explodes.
Boom! Blowing everything in the room to pieces. Now, I saw at least one table get blown up, so I'm going to pop that into the FAQ. That is our first one for the season. Our furniture annihilation quotient is up to 1 for the season and brings our series total up to 69.
Yeah, nice. Although, honestly, probably more got destroyed, but we can't tell. There's too much carnage.
There was literally just one table that I'm positive I saw get blown up.
Yeah.
So I'm only going with the one.
Piper gets knocked very forcefully backwards into a couch. She's not harmed, but she is completely covered in soot. And Paige runs in to see if she's okay. Piper calls it a minor setback, and Paige grabs a handy-dandy fire extinguisher and puts out some small fires on the floor in the remnants of what used to be the table.
Paige reminds Piper that she's supposed to be figuring out a way to vanish Necron, not herself. And Piper says that they weren't using any of the junk in the attic anyway. Which, fair.
Piper then asks, "Where's the fish girl?" And Paige says, "Oh, she's in the tub, cooling off." Paige asks what Piper is mixing. Piper replies it was burdock root and I have newt. And Paige is like, "Oh my god, you've taught me that those are a volatile combo and should never be mixed." Piper whips us off and she's like, "Oh, Necron's a serious threat. We need a serious potion." The book warns witches from going up against skeletal beings. Apparently, the last two that
And
managed
the only
two that have managed to vanquish a skeletal being died in the process. Paige quips that she's going to be number 3 and tells her to be more careful.
Piper quotes Patton, saying, "A good plan violently executed this week is better than a perfect plan executed next week." Now, I don't know if she was quoting the man himself, George S. Patton, or the 1970 movie Patton that was based on his life, but I'll link to both on the website.
Mm-hmm. Paige asks why she's quoting Patton. Piper ignores her, mumbles something about doubling the burdock root, and then bends down to pick something up.
Paige immediately stops her, saying, "No touch."
No tocas nada.
No touch. Because she doesn't want Piper or her unborn niece around that stuff.
Piper sighs. We hear the doorbell. And Paige says she shouldn't be around the smoke while she's pregnant anyway. So Piper leaves to answer the door, reminding you she's completely covered in soot.
Yeah.
She calls Paige a worrywart on her way out. Leo, at this point, walks up the stairs, asks what happened, and Piper stops to answer him. She's like, "Oh, we were just getting ready to kick some demon ass. That's what they do," and smacks him on the butt.
Yeah. The doorbell rings again. Piper says that it's probably Phoebe's interview and she'll get it. As Piper goes downstairs, Paige calls out to send them away. But, that's never going to happen.
Nope.
Leo walks over to Paige and asks if she thinks that Piper has overcome her fear a little quickly. Paige replies that it's better than her almost having a nervous breakdown like she was that morning, but Leo isn't so sure.
He walks over to the wall that has Piper's chalk writings on it to see if she had help. Paige says that Piper would never use magical help and then looks up, stops, and touches Leo's shoulder.
Yeah, dude, she wrote a fearless spell.
Yeah.
That's a thing. They then hear Phoebe cry out, and we cut to the bathroom. Piper is covering Phoebe's body with bubbles as Nancy O'Dell and a camera crew are standing in the bathroom.
The camera crew being a dude with a camera.
I think there were 2 dudes with
Were
camera.
there?
I think it was
Okay.
like a dude with the boom mic
Yeah.
and a dude with the camera.
That's one camera crew, one sound crew.
Whatever. Crew. She has a crew. Now, I know that I mentioned Nancy O'Dell in the last episode when her name was brought up, but I know that we also mentioned her way back in the season finale of season 1. So I'm going to link her again, but I'm not going to tangent.
Nancy apologizes to Phoebe, saying that Piper said they were going to do the interview in the bathroom, and Phoebe replies, that should have been their first clue that she sprang from the shallower end of the gene pool.
Yeah.
Piper reminds Phoebe that she wanted fame, tells her to grab it, saying, "Carpe diem," and Phoebe tells her not to mention carp.
Yeah, it was great. Piper says that she's doing her a favor because people will think she's bold and daring since she did an interview in the nude. Phoebe says that she can be just as fascinating with her clothes on in a TV studio, thank you very much. But Nancy's like, no, my show is called At Home with Nancy O'Dell.
Piper says it's fabulous, as Phoebe lays there in awe, telling Nancy to fire away, and leaves. Phoebe sort of weakly calls after her, but is summarily ignored. We cut to the hallway, where Piper is listening against the bathroom door.
Paige and Leo walk down the hallway, asking what's going on because they heard Phoebe scream. Piper immediately shushes them, saying that she's doing a TV interview.
Paige, at the same volume, questions about it being done in the bathtub. Piper assures her that no tail is being shown, and then says that Nancy O'Dell has perfect teeth.
Leo says that she's risking exposure to them all. Piper says something about his risk aversion side showing its head, and Paige says that they know that she cast a fearless spell.
Piper says it was a freedom spell, that Leo told her to get rid of her fear, so she did. Leo says that Piper just suppressed the fear. Piper's like, what's the difference? I'm free to be myself and help others be themselves.
Paige then reminds her that Phoebe's self is a mermaid and is about to be broadcast on the 6 o'clock news unless they stop it.
Piper says they're only seeing the downside. So Paige is like, what is the upside? Piper says that Phoebe loves her job more than anything else, so doing the interview will help bring her to her senses. And neither of them can really refute that.
It's true. Back in the bathroom, Phoebe is speaking to Nancy about her passion for fish.
Piper, Paige, and Leo all walk back in, trying to end the interview. Phoebe says that Nancy can ask one more question, so Nancy asks if there's a lucky guy in her life, which gives her the inspiration to give such real, heartfelt answers to her letters, which are apparently all about love lately.
Yeah. Phoebe says that there's not, so Nancy asks why she's done so many love columns, and Phoebe says she doesn't know. Paige, however, seems to realize something, saying, I might have a clue, and then asks Leo to help wrap up the interview.
Leo says he'll show them downstairs. Nancy's like, we're not finished.
And Leo's like, I believe you are.
Yeah. Nancy's like, we'll reschedule. My people will call your people.
Yeah. Phoebe thanks her. Nancy says goodbye. Piper says goodbye, calling her Nance, which I thought was very funny. And Leo then takes Nancy and her crew out. And as soon as they're out of sight, Phoebe's tail pokes out of the bubbles.
Yep. Like, just the absolute ends of the flare.
Yeah.
Piper asks how she feels. Phoebe's like, now I feel free of the shallowness of the human pursuit of wealth and fame. And all she craves is the serenity of the sea, which feels like the most liney of lines.
Yes. Paige then congratulates Piper on her fearless spell. Phoebe's like, what fearless spell? And then the crows show up on a branch outside the open bathroom window.
And once again, these are CG crows.
Piper asks what their problem is, and then
they're CG and they're mad about it.
Yes. There is a zapping sound and a burst of light in the hallway. Piper tells Paige to orb Phoebe to the attic. Paige questions her, but Piper's like, just do it. And she goes into the hall as Necron zaps in.
As Paige orders Phoebe out, Piper blows up Necron and then walks further into the hallway. She calls him Static Man, and then he appears behind her, audibly, I might add, but she doesn't turn around, so he grabs her from behind and then zaps back out with her.
We go to commercial break, and when we come back, we are back in the adder. Wow.
Back in the adder.
Back in the adder.
Is it a black adder?
I mean, it is covered in soot.
No.
We are back in the attic at the manor. Phoebe is covering her boobs with a couple of red pillows and spraying herself with a water bottle, which I immediately went, mood.
Yep.
Paige is writing a spell, and Leo is pacing.
Leo asks how long it's going to take Paige to write the spell. Paige tells him it's tricky due to all of the factors involved, and Phoebe wonders why they can't just orb to Necron and use the vanquishing potion that Piper was working on. Paige says that Piper was brewing under the influence, and it mentions the burned attic, and says she doesn't think the offensive stance of an explosion potion is the way to go.
Leo asks why not, and Paige informs him that the last two witches that vanquished skeletal beings were also vaporized in the process, and saying that a Power 3 spell is the best chance of killing Necron and staying alive.
Phoebe asks if Leo consents Piper and if she's hurt, and he replies all he consents is a lot of courage.
A lot and a lot of courage.
Phoebe reminds him that Necron won't kill Piper because he really wants Phoebe, and Paige quips that they still have to hurry before Piper does something stupid, like get Nancy O'Dell on exclusive with Necron.
Which I laughed at so hard. It was great. Leo worries that the Power of 3 spell won't be worth it, as Phoebe is a mermaid at the moment, and only half a witch, which I thought was kind of insensitive, seeing as Paige is always half a witch. And then he's afraid that Piper won't let them interfere.
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe says that Piper isn't using her best judgment. Leo wonders why she cast the spell when he could have helped her through her fear, and Paige tells him to see it from Piper's view of it. Paige says that Piper has been barely able to function, blaming herself for what happened to Phoebe. Phoebe is, of course, confused by this, saying that becoming a mermaid is the best thing that's ever happened to her. I'm swimming with the dolphins now. I'm basking with belugas.
Paige asks to speak to Leo alone, and Phoebe gets all up in her guff about there being no secrets under the water, no walls to keep you trapped. Never mind the sea walls.
Mm-hmm.
And Paige cuts her off to get Leo to go down to the stairs with her. They basically just go, like, down to the next landing.
Yeah.
Phoebe calls after them, then falls off the chair. We cut back to that landing. Paige realizes that taking Phoebe to the ocean and then vanquishing... Okay, for some reason my brain read that as Nancy O'Dell. Because it's on the next line.
That's funny. That's very funny.
And then vanquishing Necron means Phoebe will be able to swim away for good. Leo asks if there's another option, and Paige says that something in the Nancy O'Dell interview makes her think that Phoebe's heart isn't as cold as they think.
Leo thinks that they don't have time to find out, but Paige wants to take the time so they don't lose Phoebe when they save Piper. Leo thinks that it's a risk he'll have to take because he's only thinking about his wife, and he walks back to the attic. So we cut to the attic where Phoebe is still on the floor as Paige and Leo walk back in. Phoebe asks what they said about her, and Paige admits to thinking that she's going to swim away as soon as they save Piper.
And we see Phoebe kind of like shrug like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
And then Leo says that they need to hurry.
Phoebe and Paige take Leo's hand. He starts to orb out.
And then Paige pulls a Piper and lets go of Leo's hand as he orbs out with only Phoebe. She hopes whatever she's about to do is going to work and then runs out of the attic.
We cut to the beach as Leo orbs in with Phoebe. Phoebe asks where Paige is, and Leo just sighs, which I thought was the best.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is the best way to respond to that. It's just like, fuck. You know? Like, you know he wants to say something. You know he wants to do more. And yet.
And yet. In the cavern, Piper is tied to a sort of steel, like, gate or something.
Yeah, it's a rack of some sort.
It looks like the classic medieval prison, like, grate.
Yeah.
Because it's wide squares of interwoven steel slats.
Yeah.
And she's just chained to it.
Yeah. It's dangling above the water. Necron is standing nearby. He says that he thinks he's given her sisters enough time to worry about her and tells her to call for her white lighter. She replies, "Or what?" And he reaches out a hand and the rack sinks about knee-deep into the water.
She deadpans, "Oh, please, please, somebody help me. The mean demon is dipping me into the water and it's really cold."
Best line delivery. I love it.
Uh-huh.
It was just, this scene is one of my favorites from this episode. Because you can tell at that moment where she's just like, you have nothing and I don't care about you. She
Yep.
has lost all the care. See this land of fucks that I have. See how it is barren. This is...
Field.
Sorry.
See the field in which my fucks are grown. Note that it is barren.
Yes, that is the right thing. There you go. Necron says attack, and some electric eels swim around the rack and electrocute Piper.
Now, keep in mind, electric eels do not have this much power.
That is correct. They do not. She screams a little. It stops. Then she asks if that's the best he's got. He says again, and this time the eels wrap themselves around the rack and electrocute Piper. And she screams quite loudly this time.
You know, I actually have some personal experience with electrics and water.
Do you?
Yeah, there was, you remember where I used to live, where the basement flooded?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of those times I remembered, oh yeah, my computer's still plugged in, and like the adapter and the extension cord are like under the water, probably. So I go down there, and like, I can't feel anything 3 feet out. Not a thing. I can barely feel anything like 1 foot out. And if I try to reach down right there, I feel a little zap. But not a whole lot, because it has to diffuse across all of
the
this
water,
water.
yeah.
Which is why lightning strikes don't kill that many fish on the ocean.
That is true.
Because it diffuses so fast. So I just basically had to like reach for the cord like a foot out, pull it out, and just leave it on the table so it could dry off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't electrocute myself.
Yep.
Much.
Much.
But yeah,
Yep.
you'd be surprised at how little electric current travels in water.
Yep.
Which, yeah, means a bathtub would be a problem.
Yes. A
But
bathtub would absolutely.
an entire, like, 1,800-foot basement filled with water, probably not a problem.
Not so much. But you also have to remember that the water that Piper is in is salt water.
True.
So it does have a little bit extra, but not this much. This is definitely a magical thing that is happening.
Yeah. And also, electric eels, the current is more to deter predators or to stun prey, which they're going to be right next to anyway.
Yeah.
And, the electric current normally running through a fish is, let's just say nominal.
Yep.
They ain't smart.
No.
The brains are tiny.
Yeah. But, you know.
They aren't very nervous. Ooh, she liked that one.
Oh, God. We cut to Cole's apartment as Paige walks in and calls out for him.
He's standing near the door to the bedroom. Black jacket, black shirt, dark tan pants.
Yes.
Cole's like...
a lovely little sport jacket. It was very nice.
Yeah, Cole's like, you didn't have to break into my apartment. I'm taking your advice and leaving. And how can it technically be breaking in if she doesn't break anything?
Yeah.
Also, like, has he, like, put up wards before so she can't orb? I assume those would have...
I don't think it was wards. I think it was just he told her not to. Or he told Phoebe to tell her not to.
Okay.
I don't think there were actually wards in place.
Wait, hang on. No, wasn't there a thing when Phoebe turned evil and, like, Paige couldn't orb in there?
Again, I don't think it was...
I feel like there was a thing where she physically couldn't orb in there.
I don't remember.
Like, there was some kind of, like, spell or thing. Maybe the seer had done it. Maybe when the seer died that completely defunct.
Maybe. Anyway, Paige says that she's been known to give very bad advice and that Phoebe needs his help. He says he knows, which is why he's going away, but then Paige touches his arm and says she can't let him leave.
He asks what kind of game she's playing, and she's like, I'm not playing games. Phoebe needs your help. He says she needs psychological help, and I'm like, they all do, including you, Mr.
Yeah, pot calling kettle.
Mm-hmm.
He starts to walk to the bedroom. She replies that it's probably true about needing psychological help, but thinks that Phoebe is still in love with him.
He recounts what she said to him that morning about Phoebe's body erupting into scales, and Paige replies that she thought it was because Phoebe hated him, but now she thinks it's because she still loves him.
He questions her, and she says that it's a theory based on the fact that her advice column has been obsessed with love since he left.
Cole asks if she really wants to base all of this on a theory, because only Phoebe can prove that she still loves him. So Paige agrees, and on the spot makes up a spell.
Open Phoebe's heart to Cole, reveal the secret that it holds. Spring forth the passion of love's fire, that he may feel her true desire.
What a presumptuous spell. But hey, an orange ring of sparkly miniature birdies, basically. Circles Cole's head like he's been concussed. Yeah. Orange gnats, actually. I'm going to call them orange gnats.
Sure.
He asks what Paige did, and then the circle of gnats turns into a string and punches into his chest. It disappears. He starts to cry. There's like a bit of a golden glow. He calls out for Phoebe. And then the gnats come out of Cole and disappear again.
Paige replies that Phoebe loves him more than either of them realized, and Cole chokes back a tear. Now, fun fact that made me laugh. I was reading on the Wikia that producer Brad Kern originally planned for Paige and Cole to have an affair together this season. So somehow, when this spell was said, Cole was supposed to then kiss Paige, and a love affair was supposed to happen.
Yeah, no.
Luckily, both Rose and Julian disliked it, and so it was scrapped. But could you imagine?
Ugh.
Could you even imagine? Like, I'm sorry, what? What?
Yeah,
What?
no.
Why would you think that that would ever be a good idea?
I get that hate is not the opposite of love.
No, because
But
the opposite
also-
of love is indifference.
Yes, exactly.
But, why?
Like, no.
Why? Why would you ever think that that would be a thing that would be a good idea?
Because also, in a way, it's Phoebe's love he's feeling. So really what he's feeling is self-love. So if anything, he should start wanking.
I mean, This is true.
Or, like, run to a mirror and kiss himself in it.
Yes. But yeah.
Maybe give himself a little hug.
A little self-hug.
A little hug. It's like, ugh.
But yeah, I read that and I was like, are you kidding me? I'm so glad that neither of them liked that concept.
I'm so glad they had the power to
say no, fuck off.
Oh, gosh.
Because, oh my God, could you imagine?
They must have gotten to that pretty early in the writing process, too.
Yeah, because, like... But also, like, if you think about the words of that spell, why? Why would that all of a sudden turn into he kisses Paige and they start a love affair? What?
Yeah, no.
It's not only confusing, it's infuriating. And I'm glad it didn't happen.
He's technically kissed Paige before, but she was Phoebe.
Yes.
So, we've kind of had that already.
We have, but you noticed that it didn't turn into a love affair.
No, I get that.
So I'm happy about that.
But also...
Oh, man.
Well, it's not just that he kissed Paige and it was Phoebe. He's also kissed Phoebe, who was Paige. Like, he's done it both ways.
Yes.
He's had both sets of lips.
He has.
But both of them contained a Phoebe in them.
Yes.
Or...
No, well, technically...
Well, I mean, the lips didn't change when Paige was in the Phoebe. But... Then he had the Paige... Okay, this is getting away from me.
Yeah, we're getting away. So let's cut to the beach. Where Phoebe is basking on a rock.
Let's go to the beach.
Sure.
Nicki Minaj.
Wow. We're cutting to the beach where Phoebe is basking on a rock.
Leo orbs
in the sun
beside her, saying that Paige wasn't in the manor. He doesn't know where she is. Why can he all of a sudden apparently
like, a la convenience
not sense Paige?
Yeah.
Dunno.
It is absolutely a la convenience that he cannot sense Paige because there's no reason he shouldn't be able to sense Paige.
Phoebe tells him to forget about Paige so they can find Piper. Leo says that Necron is hurting her again, and she's going to need the power of 3. Phoebe says that all Necron wants is her, so she's going alone.
Leo, of course, tries to stop her, but she says that she can't let anything happen to Piper and the baby, tells him to wait for Paige, and then she jumps in the water and swims away to buy them some time.
Cut to the cavern, where Piper's being electrocuted. It stops, the rack rises out of the water, and Piper makes a dad joke about his treatment being shocking.
Get it? Shocking.
Get it? And then he asks if she's got a death wish. She's like, you're not demon enough to kill me, or I'd already be dead. He's like, I just wasn't hungry till now. But it's feeding time.
Yeah.
So he starts to hold out a hand as Phoebe comes up from under the water.
She tells him to let Piper go, that it's her that he wants, and then the auger shell appears in his hand. Piper tells Phoebe to look out. What was the line?
Look out. He's got a pretty shell. Or something like that.
No. It was, he's packing shell. he's packing a seashell. That's what it was. Look out, he's packing a seashell. Necron asks if she knows what the shell is, and Phoebe says that she does. She says she'll give him her immortality if he lets her sister go. The rack then goes flying across the water, like across the cavern, like skimming the water.
Yeah, and turning as it does.
Yeah. And it hits the rock wall.
And as it does, the chains around Piper's wrists come undone, so she falls to the ground. And Phoebe swims over as Necron says he promises to kill her sister unless she gives him what he wants. Phoebe asks if Piper is okay. Piper touches her bleeding stomach and then screams at Necron.
What did you do?
So the auger shell disappears from his hand and reappears on Phoebe's chest, starts glowing as he tells her to keep her promise. And we cut to the beach, where Leo is still waiting as Paige orbs in.
He asks where she's been. She lies, saying that she forgot the vanquishing spell in the attic, and just kind of stands there looking guilty. Cut back to the cavern, where we have a small continuity error. We see Phoebe breathing hard, with the glowing shell over her heart in the close-up, one hand on the shell and the other hand on the wall behind her. But as Paige and Leo orb in, she's in the background with her head lulled to one side, both hands on the shell, and the shell isn't glowing.
Then Leo rushes over to Piper, who's still lying on the ground by the rack. As he tells her it's okay he's there, Necron zaps Leo, and he immediately is no longer there anymore. He is now across the room. Paige hides behind a random, statue or stalactite or column something.
It was a statue, but it was one of those statues that's normally, on the front of a ship.
Oh, masthead.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the word.
Yeah, it's a masthead.
There you go. So she hides behind a masthead. We see Phoebe back in that same heavy breathing, glowing
Or,
shell
I might be wrong.
position.
It might
thing.
not be a masthead.
Whatever. It's a statue that goes on the front of a ship.
Yeah.
So whatever that is called, that's what that is.
Oh god, now I gotta look that up. Hang on, let
then
me
pause.
It's a figurehead, not a masthead. A masthead goes at the top of a mast. A figurehead goes on the bow of the ship.
Sure. Works for me.
Yep.
Okay, so she stands behind a figurehead as we see Phoebe in the heavy breathing, glowing shell position again.
Mm-hmm.
Paige calls out for Phoebe. Necron then zaps the figurehead. Paige comes out of her hiding place to call for the shell. We see the light kind of go to her hand and then orbs back, and the shell winds up on Necron's chest.
It doesn't really seem to do much to him. He's able to pull it off without issue, but hey, it's no longer on Phoebe.
This is true.
So Paige grabs Piper's hand, tells Piper to take Phoebe's hand, which she does, and then tells them to prepare for a big blast.
She then says the power of 3 spell that she has written all by herself. So apparently all they need is to be holding hands, and only one of them actually needs to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if that ever comes back as a thing that happens. The spell is, tide of evil washed ashore, to bring its darkness evermore. With all our strength we fight this fate, make this evil obliterate.
And then Necron explodes from the inside out, and it looks like a nice Star Wars effect, like when the Death Star explodes,
Yep.
which of course the Death Star wouldn't explode like that in the middle of space, because vacuum.
Yes.
But it's pretty.
Yes.
And it's blue.
Okay,
It lets
then.
out a nice blue shockwave that knocks the girls all across the room. Phoebe gets flung against the wall and then goes knees first back into the water. It's
Right.
really funny looking.
But she gets flung out of the water
Yeah.
to hit the wall, to then fall back into the water.
And we see her like face down, apparently unconscious.
Yeah.
Paige gets like thrown over some stuff.
Into like a weird tarp
Yeah.
that gets covered in algae and falls to the ground on her stomach.
Piper gets flung back into the rack she was on, which then falls into the water. And because she's still chained to it by a foot, it drags her in. We see her like scrabbling on the thing, and she like yells, but goes under.
Yeah. And as she's underwater, she is frantically trying to free her foot from the chain. She can't do it, and she just kind of gives up, and we are left watching her floating underwater,
Just,
with the
like,
camera
moving her
pulling
arms.
back and everything getting very cloudy.
Just swaying her arms.
Yeah. We go to commercial break. We come back to Piper still underwater, now bleeding from the shoulder and her stomach,
Oh, she was bleeding from the shoulder earlier.
but it's now like super visible that
Yeah.
she is bleeding.
Yeah. Phoebe pokes her head out of the water, sees Paige unconscious.
And Paige is now on a nearby log as opposed to on the floor where she was before the break, and she's on her back.
Yep. Phoebe calls out to her, but when Paige doesn't wake up, she uses her tail to flick some water onto her pants,
Yep.
which makes Paige gain consciousness, sit up, saying, "It's no wonder those demons carry warning labels." Paige then calls out to Leo to ask if he's okay. He replies that he thinks he is, as he's laying in a pile of driftwood.
He gets up and joins them and asks where Piper is.
Cut to Piper, under the water. Patty appears to her, there, under the water, in a bright light, in a nice white, flowy sort of gown thing.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because you can tell Piper is underwater, and so her hair is moving in the water, and you can tell that Patty is on a soundstage with her hair being blown by a fan.
Yeah, and also the scale is a bit off, and, like, Holly's eyeline is a little weird,
Yeah.
because...
But, you know,
Yeah, it's just weird. Anyway, Patty says she knows that Piper has been afraid of leaving her baby the way she was left, but tells her that spells won't make that fear go away. Piper has to have faith that her destiny is different than Patty's. Holds out her hand, asking Piper to take it, and Piper reaches out towards her. We cut back up, where the girls and Leo still are, and after a moment, like a very brief moment, Phoebe dives back under the water.
and underwater we see 2 outstretched hands, and then Piper's foot effortlessly being released from the chain that was holding it.
I'm sorry, it wasn't released. What she did was she extended her foot.
Yes. She went into
flexed-
ballet pose.
She her foot had been flexing, and she just extended her foot, and the chain fell off.
Yeah.
Now, that chain was so loose that even as freaked out as she was trying to get it off, it should have gotten off.
Yeah. But it didn't.
No, because no drama in that.
Yeah.
Although it would have been really fun to see, like, maybe instead of her foot moving and that doing it, maybe just, like...
The chain unraveling?
Yeah, the chain
Yeah.
just, like, unraveling, or, like, maybe there was a special, like, chain, quote-unquote, knot. Like, I don't know, you could have, like, turned a link one way and just had it very precariously sitting there underwater, and then someone just from behind the scenes pulls it and just goes...
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
That would have been cool.
But
that's
no.
not what happened.
This was just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
So anyway, we cut back up as Piper's pulled out of the water. She coughs out some water, calls out, "Mom!"
Leo tells her that it's okay, that they're with her, and Phoebe tells Leo to heal her stomach. But as he reaches for the wound, it heals itself and the shirt. Paige asks Leo how he did that, and he's like, "I didn't do that."
So Piper sits up, now sans shoulder wound as well, and says, "The baby did it."
Phoebe questions this. Piper says, "I guess she takes after her daddy," and they smile. And then she tells them that their mom came to her in the water and helped her understand why she's been so afraid. And we are shown Phoebe's face as Piper says the word afraid. Phoebe's face, like, drops, and then she kind of sinks silently into the water.
That's good timing.
Yeah. Piper says that she doesn't want to leave her baby without a mother. Leo says that she has something her mother didn't have. Piper asks what, and Leo replies, "Me," and smiles at her.
And kind of, like, grabs her shoulder.
And I just thought about that, and I'm like, I'm sorry. What now? Like, I love Leo, don't get me wrong. But in this moment, I was like, really? Your logic here is to tell Piper that the only reason that your mother left and you won't have to is because you got a man in your life.
Well, Mom didn't choose to leave.
No, I get that.
Also, like...
But, like, Mom had a man in her life. It was her whitelighter.
Yes, but they had to be secret. He couldn't be there all the time, because that would be obvious.
I guess so, but it was
Whereas
just like...
Piper and Leo are sanctioned by the powers that be and the state of California.
Yes.
He gets to be there all the time.
I guess so. It was just a little weird for me in that moment of, like, you've got me.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but it is a different situation from Sam.
It is absolutely a different situation. I will give it
I would have preferred if he'd said, "Your sisters."
Yes.
And then that could have made this turn a little different, because then Paige says, "And me."
Yeah.
And then we turn to the water and Phoebe's not there.
But I do love that the way that Paige gets Piper's attention is by tugging on her hair.
Yeah.
Like, that was very much a sister thing.
Yeah. But yeah, Paige chimes in her support, and then they look and notice that Phoebe is gone. And Piper's like, what do we do? And Paige very slyly is like, nothing. I have a feeling she's gonna come back. And Leo asks how she knows. And Paige says she's got a pretty good idea about what's going on inside her head, which is just unnecessarily cryptic, Paige. Come on.
I mean, yes. But we then cut to a beach. Cole is standing by the rocks with his arms outstretched and his eyes closed. And then Phoebe magically appears, laying down in front of him as if she had been sunbathing somewhere else. And it kind of looks like she's gotten a bit of a sunburn on her chest in, like, t-shirt pattern. Like, there's a definite scoop of sunburn on her chest.
Yeah. She questions how she got there as Cole opens his eyes and says he brought her. Phoebe's like, "This can't be happening. This is worse than stalking." Cole says that, "No, I'm not stalking you. Paige sent me. I know why you ran."
She says that he doesn't know anything about her. He says that she thought she could escape into the ocean and let the waves wash away her pain. But the pain won't go away until she admits what drove her there in the first place.
She says he drove her there. He asks why, and he tells her not to say that because she's scared of him, because that's not true.
Yeah, it's not because you're scared of me.
Yeah.
He then tells her that she doesn't want to spend eternity alone just to avoid the truth, to be honest for her own sake, and not to lose herself because of him.
She asks what he wants her to say, and he tells her she doesn't have to say anything, but she can free herself by admitting how she truly feels about him in her heart. They're silent for a moment. The camera pans down Phoebe's legs.
It starts at her head. It goes down her head.
It pans down, and when it gets to her knees, there's a lovely, like, CG, like, ripple effect, and then legs.
Yeah, her fins become legs, and we get a lovely shot of her ankle tattoo with her feet in the sand. And I mean, it was
and there's, like, one clump of sand on her right foot.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I immediately looked at that and went, now she's naked on a rock. That's got to be uncomfortable.
Right? So
he takes her hand, helps her up, and then he takes off his coat, wraps it around her. She asks how he was so sure. He replies that he had a feeling. And she kind of sniffs the jacket and smiles, and I thought that was a really cute moment.
Mm-hmm. She tells him she does love him, always will, but it doesn't change that it's over between them. They stare at each other for a moment, he gives a very small nod of understanding, and they continue to stare at each other as the camera pans from them over to the water. And there's a shot over Alyssa's shoulder at Cole where you see her, like, smile because she's trying not to laugh.
Yeah.
It's real funny.
Yeah, and then, like, the next shot is the faraway shot, and her face is completely stoic again.
Well, it's not completely stoic, but it's definitely not smiling.
Yeah. So it pans over to the water, and then we get a racing shot over the water, heading toward the Golden Gate Bridge as the sun goes down, before a shot pushing through the bridge to the city behind, and then a shot of the buildings before a final night shot of the city with the Oakland Bay Bridge in front, and a quick helicopter shot over the Triangle Building. Mm-hmm. It was a nice little transition shot, like craziness. And then we fade into the fish tank at South Bay Social Services for the last time.
Mm-hmm.
As we see Paige packing up her desk and putting stuff into a box. And she is now wearing a frilly cropped sleeveless white shirt.
I think it's technically a halter. It's like a halter
It's
neck.
It's not.
It
has a string holding the front and the back together, but it is a tiny string sleeve. Whatever. Anyway, she has paired that with a black miniskirt, and her hair is pulled back into pigtails with some loose bits hanging in front. And
the pigtail holders are pink.
Yeah, they're pink pigtail holders, and they're like those like furry fabric ones that little kids use.
Like the ribbed fabric.
Yeah. That are normally on like 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Honestly, those are shit too. They're not very good at
They're
holding
not
hair.
very good at all.
No.
No, they're really not. They're fine for like, a toddler because it doesn't hurt their hair, and if they pull on it, it's not going to hurt their fingers.
True.
But like anyone older than that,
yeah,
not so much. Anyway.
For some reason, my brain always pairs those with leg warmers. I don't know why.
I don't know why either. They're very 80s.
True.
That could be possibly it.
Could be.
They're very 80s.
Anyway, Mr. Cohen walks over to her, saying he doesn't want her to quit because she's got a real gift at helping people. She tells him not to worry, she's going to keep helping people, she just doesn't want to split her focus anymore. She thanks him, hugs him, we get a small continuity error where facing her, the hug, her arm barely goes over his shoulder, and then we turn and suddenly, her elbow is, behind his neck.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cute, it's a sweet hug.
Yeah.
Then he walks off, and she looks at her nameplate as Blame It on the Weatherman starts to play.
Yes. Originally, the song Blame It on the Weatherman by the group Bewitched, and that is B***witched.
Yep. And I was watching this on Netflix, and I heard the song go, and I'm like, wait, isn't this one supposed to be Blame It on the Weatherman? And I turned to Kat, and she's like, yep.
Yep. Yes, it is. So, Bewitched is an Irish girl group consisting of twin sisters Adele and Kiwi.
Kavi?
I'm not positive how you say that one. Lynch. Lindsay Armagh and Sinead O'Carroll, not to be confused with Sinead O'Connor, two completely separate people.
Yep.
They were most active from 1997 to 2002, and they split up in 2002 partly due to their record label dropping them, and partly because Sinead wanted to leave and go solo. Their record label dropping them happened before she wanted to go solo. Just putting that out. So even though Sinead and Adele had some sort of falling out in 2006, the band reunited in 2012 for a show on the British channel ITV2 that was called The Big Reunion. So that's a thing.
Yep.
I will link to the YouTube video for the song that originally played during these scenes, as well as to their wiki, because it's fascinating. Mm. But on Netflix, the song is called Soft and Not Knowing by the band Information Superhighway. So that was a real treat, trying to find anything about them. From their album, This Is Not the Ending. Now, I don't know much about them because that's a fucking horrible name for a band. Just saying.
Yep.
If you want to be able to be found, that's hard to deal with. But I did find their Facebook page, which hasn't been updated since October 2018. And there wasn't much updated on it before that. As well as their Bandcamp page, which hasn't been updated even longer than the Facebook page. I want to say Bandcamp was like 2007 or something. It's been a long time.
Wow, I didn't know Bandcamp was around that long.
Yeah, it's been around for a while. But I will also link to the YouTube video that I found for the song that plays on Netflix. Because I found that.
Okay, cool.
because I tried to Soundhound. Soundhound knew nothing, but Shazam won out on this one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shazam.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Okay, let's get to the final two sort of scenes.
Yes.
In the kitchen at the manor, Phoebe is sitting at the table looking at that one picture of her and Cole where she's wearing like the knitted beanie.
Yeah.
And
Wasn't
she's
that
just
the same
staring up into
picture-
his face.
Wasn't that the same picture that got blowed up in his house?
I don't know.
Or in the living room at the manor? Like,
I
I
don't
think
know,
that was
but
one
there
of the pictures that
definitely
got
was
blown up.
one in the manor because I remember the one lady looking at this from that episode where we get his like Balthazar doppelganger.
Mm-hmm.
So Black as Coal. That's the episode. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the same photo from that episode.
Yeah, so it did get blowed up at some point.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyway, apparently they just really like to have that particular photo printed out and put in a frame.
Mm-hmm.
She is wearing a denim blue shirt, possibly a dress, but she's sitting down, so we don't know.
Yep.
It has spaghetti straps made out of the same denim, and a bit of, like, string in a weird, like, tassel bow thing in the middle of the neckline. It was like a brown string in all of this denim. It was very weird. And then a matching denim choker.
Yep. And it's kind of a tank top-ish. With like thick straps that have like ruffles on the side.
It's not ruffles. No? It's literally like denim fabric that is just frayed.
Okay.
This entire top is made out of denim.
Yay.
Yeah.
Denim.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And her hair is also up in pigtails. But higher pigtails.
Actual, hers. Paige had hers down in like low little pigtails, and Phoebe has hers up in like high pigtails,
but also in the back.
Yeah, and she has her bangs down, and they've grown very nicely.
Mm-hmm. And she puts down the photo frame face down on the table and signs a formal notification of divorce action form. Although she does misspell her name, it's 2 E's.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like an EO.
Yeah.
But either she doesn't know how to write an O or this is an E and she just didn't realize.
Yeah.
Because in cursive, when the tail off of the O is at the top of the O, not the bottom.
Yep.
It's not just a loop-de-loop.
Yep.
Which is an E.
But the third letter of the name, which should have been an O, is absolutely an E.
Yep.
Now, this could just be, marked up as the fact that Alyssa Milano is dyslexic. Or it could have just been a writing things fast and whatever, but Phoebe misspells her own name. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was hilariously funny.
I mean, I can't imagine Alyssa's had to write Phoebe's name all that much.
Yeah, probably not.
So probably trying to effectively forge a character signature, you're not used to it. You're used to writing your own name. So whenever you try to write someone else's name, it's a bit weird.
This is very true.
Although that does usually make them more legible. Because your own signature is not going to be that legible.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Anyway, cut to Piper's room, where we see her sitting on the bed up against the headboard, box of baby stuff strewn all about. The window for the closet nursery is still on the floor, and the view out the window is a very dark blue screen.
Now, this is when I realized, seeing this, because I looked at that blue screen and I went, wait a second. And I wanted to look up the blueprint of the house because I wanted to see what would have been out that window that the blue screen should have been showing. And that's when I realized that Piper and Leo's bedroom is at the back of the house.
So the beginning of 501, we see Leo on
leaning out
the right-hand side of the house at the
in
front.
The front.
Now, I noticed this upon rewatch, because honestly, I was not paying attention last week. I noticed this on rewatch because I'm like, oh, he's leaning out right there. There's that bay window right next to it. Wait a fucking second. That's where their headboard goes. There's no window at their headboard. The bay window is on the other side of the bed from the nursery. And I'm just like, oh yeah, this is completely wrong.
Uh-huh.
He should be leaning legit out of the back of the house.
Yes, but we never get to see the back of the house.
Nope.
And so my thought process here is that it's never going to be brought up again.
Nope.
The window is never going to be seen again after this.
No, I think it is, but
I don't know. Like I said, complete speculation on my part, as I have not seen the rest of the show in a while.
my experience is that it's probably going to be there, but they'll have finished more of the nursery.
But we will now have to keep an eye out for it. And I kind of want to put a tally in place, just in case we notice it. But I don't think we will, because I don't think we're going to notice it.
Window watchers? Is that what you want to do? You want to window watch?
Possibly. We'll see. Anyway, so, as Kendra said, Piper and Leo sitting on the bed looking at a photo in Piper's baby book. Leo is wearing a blue shirt and tan pants, and Piper is in a long, slightly bell-sleeved, scoop-neck white shirt that has lacing detailing all over it.
And a tie, like, in the middle neckline.
Yeah, there's like a little, like, bow kind of tie thing in the middle. And we get a glimpse of light blue pants, and she has a small diamond necklace on, that little square diamond that Prue used to wear all the time.
Yeah. And her hair is half pulled back, and it's, like, done this really cute thing where she, like, twists it up to get it into a clip, and, like, a couple of her little bangies are heading out.
Yeah,
I think this is probably one of my favorite hairstyles of hers.
Yeah. I love this hair on her.
It's
I
cute.
love it so much.
Anyway, Leo kisses her head, then gets up, walks away. Piper takes that last picture of her and her mother out of her own baby book, closes it, and then picks up the new baby book, which is a lot more frilly.
Yes. So this new baby book says, "Our little girl" on the top in pink, and then a pink dress made out of ribbon that's like a 3D, like, tactile thing in the middle. And then there's a pink ribbon at the bottom left that has an embroidered Melinda. So they're going to be naming their first child Melinda. And I just thought that was the sweetest.
Well, we knew that from when she was
like,
in the future before.
I know, but I just thought it was so sweet that, like, it's already there on the baby book. That's so cute.
It is.
So sweet.
Anyway, she sticks the photo of her and Patty on the second page. Like, there's the two corner corner holders up at the top, and then she, like, tacks it down. And as she's doing that, we see a golden little, like, scribble light right at the bottom, and then it gets filled in with ink, Grandma and Mommy, just under the photo at the bottom of the page. So Piper smiles, she holds back tears, kind of looks up into the side, and then closes the book.
And we go to the end credits. And I just love that, though, that, like, you saw the golden light happen before
that's
the ink happened.
That's happened when Patty or Grams have
writes in anything.
Written in there.
But I just love the visual of that. I also enjoyed the little moment where she sees the writing happen and she immediately just brings her hands back, like, what's going on?
Yep.
Like that cute little, like, huh? And then realizes that everything's cool.
Little startle, like, huh?
Yeah. And, like, everything's cool. It's like, oh, that's so sweet. Mama's watching over me. It's a very nice way to end the episode.
Yes.
I was very excited about it. So, with the episode done, we are on to ratings. Would you like to go first?
Sure. I'm going to give it 8 out of 10 seaside sport coats.
Nice. I'm also giving it an 8 out of 10 shiny bubbles. It was a nice, like, thing. I enjoyed this episode in its entirety.
Yeah.
Like, this one and the last one together. It's really funny. Like, I didn't mind the last one, but I like this one better because it concludes it very nicely.
Yes, that's true.
It brings it to a lovely conclusion, and we get a cute little, like, moment with them at the end, and there's the possibility of Phoebe being able to move on with her life, and it's quite nice.
He awakes.
Come on, Blue.
Come here, Boo. You come here. Do you want a treat? Look, come on, get it. Come on. Nope, he's going to lay down right there.
All right, let him lay.
On to outfits.
For Piper, I really liked that final shirt.
Yes, I did too.
But the black and leather outfit, very nice.
That final shirt is very similar to something she's worn before. Trying to remember which episode. I think it was the episode when she got shot.
Probably.
Anyway, it's very pretty, and I love her hair like that. Gorge.
I love it a lot. But, like, you can't go wrong with Piper in black and leather.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah, I think my favorite hair of the episode is definitely Phoebe's with the snood and the pearls.
Yes, absolutely. Like, her final outfit, like, Phoebe was a mermaid for, 90% of the episode, but that final, like, denim outfit was weird but not horrible. And
It was cute.
It was a really nice, like, it looked cute on her. And her hair was adorable, but, like, yeah, her hair with the pearls and the updo thing, it was just so pretty.
Yeah.
Super duper pretty. And then for Paige, I didn't mind the orange shirt outfit, but I actually kind of enjoyed the I'm quitting social worker outfit.
Yeah, that was
like,
a cute shirt.
That, like, ruffled shirt and the mini skirt, it looked classy. It's like, yeah, the mini skirt probably a little too short for work, but, like, the
she's
outfit
quitting.
looked,
Who cares?
Exactly. Like, the outfit looked really classy, and I didn't mind her hair. I kind of wished her hair had been down with that outfit, but, you know, it wasn't bad.
Yep.
So, that is the episode done, which means we're on to social media stuff.
Yup.
Yeah. You can email any questions, comments, queries, or comments to charmchats@gmail.com. You can also find all of the links that was mentioned on today's episode at our website, charmchats.com, where you can also find links to Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Redbubble, YouTube, and Patreon. And if you want to join the Discord, all you have to do is email us the phrase, "We're the power of 2 plus blue," and we will send you an invite link. All the good stuff happens on Discord.
Oh, yeah.
So much stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we thank you for listening. And until next time,
Sleep tight. Don't let the warlocks bite.
bye!
Bye.
Piper, Phoebe, and Paige, kicking evil's ass weekly in this war they wage. So we'll see where it's at next time with Kendra and Kat on Charm.